don't know about you guys, but I am a little worried about Mary. I mean, she fell off of that very high wall, and remember Jemima? Jemima's leg got hurt. I'm very worried. I think I'd better hurry up and read chapter 9 of The Secret Garden.
Chapter 9, The Secret Garden. The creepers grabbed at Mary, slowing her descent as she crashed down through a tunnel of foliage. She landed with a bump at the top of a steep slope and then tumbled all the way down it, rolling over and over through the dead leaves and bracken. She thumped to a stop and lay there for a moment, wondering if she had broken anything. Feeling dazed, she blinked her eyes. A faint, ghostly, dark-haired woman in a long dress was leaning over her, looking worried. "Mother!" gasped Mary in shock. She sat bolt upright, and the figure dissolved into the sunlight. Mary drew in a trembling breath. She must have bumped her head in the fall. For a moment, she had really thought her mother was there, but of course she couldn't be. "Where am I?" she wondered, looking around. Trees surrounded her, their branches meeting overhead. Through a gap in the leafy canopy, the sun shone down between the leaves, casting dappled light on the ground around her. Mary got slowly to her feet. She had cuts and grazes, and her new coat was covered with moss and leaves, but nothing hurt too badly. She set off down the path. "Jemima," she called, wondering where her friend was. The trees were ancient, almost prehistoric, and their trunks seemed to have exploded in all directions. Their twisted branches were covered with a layer of soft green moss that seemed to glow in the sunlight. Leaves lay in a thick, dry carpet, and Mary's feet crunched through them as she clambered over fallen tree trunks and skirted around the knobby roots that had grown up through the ground. Her skin tingled. "It's like a place from a fairy tale," she thought. She passed tall, craggy rocks, dripping with water, and reached a jungle of enormous green plants that towered over her head. They had stems as thick as tree trunks and leaves as big as umbrellas. They blocked her way, but she pushed through them until she emerged into a sunny clearing. The long meadow grass was high as her waist in some places, and there was a wide stream on the far side with rocky banks. Its water was reflecting the sunlight. Mary waded through the grass toward it. As she reached it, she heard a woof and felt a rush of delight. Jemima was on the other side of the stream, her injured leg held up protectively underneath her. "Jemima," Mary called. The dog gave Mary a suspicious look and backed away. "No, you can't be cranky with me," Mary said. "That trap wasn't my fault. Now come on, come back, and we'll get that wound better for you." Jemima held her gaze but didn't move, so Mary came to a decision. Very well. If Jemima wouldn't come to her, then she would go to Jemima. She pulled off her coat and bag. Leaving them on the grass, she stepped into the clear water, gasping at the coldness. The water got deeper and deeper until she realized she was going to have to swim. She wasn't very good at swimming, but she struck out and swam determinedly to the far side. Reaching the bank, she pulled herself out of the water, shivering with coldness. Jemima watched her warily. "Can I see your paw now, Jemima?" Mary said. The dog didn't move. "Jemima, I promise I won't hurt you," Mary said. She took a step toward her, and Jemima took a step away. Mary sighed. "You don't want help?" "Very well, then. We'll deal with your paw later. First, we'll explore. This is a very mysterious place. Come on." She walked past Jemima, and Jemima followed on her 3 legs. Mary broke into a run, and Jemima overtook her, leading the way. She still seemed to be able to move just as fast on 3 legs as she had on 4. There was so much to see in this garden that was hidden away behind the wall. They raced past giant tree ferns, through a grove of strange trees with bulbous trunks and frond-like leaves, and they wriggled their way through the jungle-like foliage. As Mary pushed the leaves aside, a story bubbled up inside her. There once were 2 friends called Mary and Jemima, she cried, and they discovered a strange but beautiful garden together. They stayed there and played in it all day long. They emerged into a formal area with overgrown flower beds, gravel paths, and stone statues covered with ivy. At the far end was a beautiful sunken temple, an old building of gray stone arches with no roof. Mary and Jemima ran over to it. "Oh, Jemima, look!" said Mary, gazing in delight at the ankle-deep pool in the center of the temple. It shimmered and gleamed, reflecting the light. The dog barked excitedly, and Mary barked back, happiness filling her. Jemima leaped into the pool, and Mary followed, and they splashed joyfully through the water, spraying droplets in every direction. Jumping out, they hurried on together until they reached a grassy clearing with overgrown mounds of scarlet flowers and red-barked dogwood trees all around. Mary sank back in the grass, panting for breath. Why was this garden hidden away behind such a high wall? Gardens weren't usually secret places. They were for people to walk in and enjoy, but this place felt as if no one had been in it for a very long time. Hearing a bird singing, Mary glanced around. A robin with a bright red breast was perched on top of an old stone statue. It was a statue of a giant broken head that was covered with thick moss. The robin gave her a beady look and twittered again. "Well, hello to you too," said Mary with a smile, wondering if it was the same robin she had seen when she had first arrived at Misselthwaite. The robin sang and fluttered its wings. Mary had the strangest feeling that it was trying to tell her something. What is it?" she asked. The little bird flew into the statue's open mouth, and then it popped its head out and twittered at Mary again. Jemima barked. Mary was sure that both animals were trying to get her to do something. She scrambled to her feet and went over to the statue. The robin's insistent singing grew louder as Mary got closer, and she had the strangest feeling that it was encouraging her. "Is there something inside there?" she thought. "Something you want me to find?" Standing on her tiptoes, she reached into the mouth. She felt some dry moss, and then her fingertips touched something hard and metallic. What was it? It was just too far to reach. Jemima woofed beside her. Mary looked down and saw that the dog had fetched a stick. She dropped it at Mary's feet. Mary smiled. This is just what she needed. "That's as good an idea as anyone's had, Jemima." Picking up the stick, Mary stuck it in the hole where the mouth was and used it to fish the metal object out. As she pulled it into the daylight, she saw that it was a large iron key covered with moss. She brushed the moss away and looked at it in astonishment. What was a key doing hidden in a statue's mouth, and what did it unlock? "Well," she asked the animals, "is that what you wanted me to find? Well, what do I do with it?" Jemima jumped around on 3 legs barking, and the robin sang. "I don't know what you both mean," said Mary with an exasperated laugh. She looked around at the sunlight falling on the garden, the giant green ferns and protective ancient trees. "But this place, this garden, it's amazing." She longed to explore some more, but just then she heard the faint sound of that bell ringing and Mrs. Medlock calling her name from far away. "Oh, I'm going to have to go," she said in frustration, putting the key in her pocket. "But I'm coming back tomorrow, I promise. I need to have a look at your leg, Jemima. I hope it's going to heal." A thought struck her. Now, how do I get out of here? Jemima woofed and trotted away into a nearby copse of trees. Mary followed her and found that she was back where she had started. Picking up her coat and her bag, she put them on and then scrambled up the bank to the base of the wall. She began to climb. At one point, her foot slipped, but it felt a branch suddenly meet it and boost her upward. Her eyes widened. It was almost as though the tree was helping her. It seemed impossible, but Mary was beginning to think anything could happen in this enchanting, abandoned garden. At the top of the wall, she paused for a moment and then looked back. The garden stretched out like a secret kingdom. What a wonderful, amazing place. "Mary!" she heard Mrs. Medlock shout. With a sigh, Mary swung her leg over the wall and scrambled down. On this side, the house side, everything seemed duller, so much grayer. Here, a dog would be just a dog, and a robin would be just a robin. But Mary didn't mind. She knew that the garden would be waiting for her, and her heart sang. Mary was so excited about the garden that she didn't even care when Mrs. Medlock scolded her severely for returning late and about her coat all covered in mud. "Look at you, girl. You've got dirt all over you, and your hair, it's matted and wet." Mary shrugged. "Mr. Craven said to play, so I've been playing." A little while later, as she lay in the steaming bath, soaking away the dirt, Mary looked at the key that she had smuggled into the bathroom. Why had Jemima and the robin wanted her to find it? Maybe there was a door into the garden, and this key unlocked it. She felt like she was going to burst with this secret. If only she knew there was someone that she could tell. And then she thought of her cousin, Colin, lying in his bed upstairs. Her other secret. Maybe she would tell him about the garden. In fact, he might even already know about it. After all, Colin had lived at Misselthwaite his entire life. Well, I'm going to go see him tonight, thought Mary, and with a feeling of happy satisfaction, she slid under the steaming water.